What event made you see your mom in a whole new light? I was 14 when my mom lost her job. She'd been the financial analyst at her firm for 7 years. That night, I discovered her in our basement surrounded by dusty boxes of old photography equipment. Within days, she'd converted the laundry room into a darkroom. Dad kept pressuring her to find real work, but she barely acknowledged him anymore. She'd vanish for hours, capturing forgotten corners of our town that everyone else ignored. I started noticing the dark circles forming under her eyes. Some nights, I'd wake at 4 a.m. to find her still hunched over her desk, editing photos until sunrise. "I'm fine," she'd insist, downing another coffee. The arguments between my parents intensified. "This photography nonsense is bankrupting us," Dad would shout. Mom's voice grew quieter each time, but she never stopped. 6 months later, I found her collapsed on the darkroom floor. The paramedics couldn't revive her. "Cardiac failure due to extreme exhaustion," the doctor said. I was numb, empty, until I found her journal while packing her things. Through tear-stained pages, I read words that shattered me. "Every photo I sell gets Tyler one step closer to college. Nothing else matters." She never got to see how her sacrifice paid off. The memorial exhibition sparked interest from a major curator. Her photographs of overlooked places now hang in galleries nationwide. The woman who died making sure I had a future became renowned for showing the world what it had failed to see.
What was the best "do you know who I am" moment you've experienced? I'm a 26-year-old neurosurgeon, one of only 3 female pediatric neurosurgeons in my state. Last Tuesday at 2 a.m., I rushed to the hospital for a 6-year-old with a brain bleed. Time was critical. At the entrance, a new security guard blocked me. "Visiting hours are over. I'm Dr. Patel, the neurosurgeon on call," I explained, showing my ID. He scoffed. "Right, the actual neurosurgeon is already inside. Please call the OR and verify. A child needs emergency surgery." "Look, miss," he said, "I know what neurosurgeons look like. They don't look like, well, you know." The head nurse spotted me through the doors and rushed over. "Dr. Patel, thank God you're here. The patient's pressure is rising dangerously." The guard stepped between us. "I'm handling the student or intern or whatever she is." As we argued, the hospital director appeared with the sobbing parents. "Dr. Patel," he called out, "OR1 is prepped. The patient can't wait any longer." The guard's face drained of color as I walked past him. For 6 grueling hours, I fought to save him. Every skill I'd mastered, every technique I knew, all deployed in a desperate race against time. As I walked past the security desk afterward, my surgical cap clutched in trembling hands. The guard stood up. "Doctor, he began. "Do you have children?" I asked softly. He nodded. "2, a boy and a girl." "Then imagine them in that OR tonight." I handed him the boy's Superman wristband I'd removed before surgery. His parents just kissed their son goodbye for the last time. They kept asking me if getting here faster would have changed things. I never told them about those 8 minutes at the security desk, but sometimes when I see a little boy in a Superman shirt, I still wonder. My husband asked why I sleep on the couch every night. Should I tell him what I heard? It started 3 weeks ago when I got up for water at 2 a.m. I heard voices coming from our bedroom. My husband talking to someone on the phone. "She's so predictable. Goes to bed at 10 every night like clockwork. Yeah, I know exactly when she's asleep." I froze outside the door, heart pounding. "The life insurance policy? 2 million? She has no idea I increased it last month." My blood went cold. I pressed myself against the wall, straining to hear every word. "No, she doesn't suspect anything. Still thinks I'm the perfect husband. Makes coffee every morning, kisses me goodbye. It's almost too easy." The person on the other end must have said something because he laughed. Actually laughed, right? 15 years of marriage and she trusts me completely. Poor thing. I heard footsteps approaching the door. I crept back to the living room and dove onto the couch just as he appeared in the doorway. "Honey, why are you out here?" "Couldn't sleep. Bad back," I whispered, keeping my eyes closed. He stood there for what felt like forever before going back to bed. That was the first night I slept on the couch. Well, pretended to sleep. The second night, I heard more details. The hiking trail reservation is confirmed. Eagles Peak, just like we talked about. That section near Devil's Drop is perfect. No cameras, no witnesses. Devil's Drop. I knew that spot. We'd hiked there on our anniversary 2 years ago. He'd joked about how dangerous the cliff edge was. She loves taking photos there. Always wants me to get the perfect shot of her by the edge. This time, I'll make sure she gets close enough. My hands shook as I recorded everything on my phone, hidden under a couch cushion. Night 3 brought new horrors. The grieving widower act won't be hard. I've been practicing in the mirror. Devastated husband who just lost his soulmate in a tragic accident. He paused, listening. Of course, I'll wait a respectable amount of time before dating again. Maybe 6 months? A year at most? Grief is exhausting, you know? By night 4, I learned about his girlfriend. Apparently, she'd been pushing him to take care of the problem for months. "Sarah keeps asking when we can finally be together. She's getting impatient, says she's tired of sneaking around." Sarah, my yoga instructor. The woman I'd been confiding in about my marriage troubles. The one who suggested this hiking trip to reconnect with my husband. Night 5 revealed the timeline. This weekend is perfect. Weather forecast shows light rain. Trail will be slippery. Makes the accident more believable. He'd thought of everything. The weather, the location, even the time of day when fewer hikers would be around. For 2 weeks, I gathered evidence, recorded conversations, took screenshots of his increased life insurance policy, documented his late-night phone calls. I also started making my own plans. Last week, I called his brother Mike. We'd always been close. Mike was the one who introduced us. He's also a detective with 20 years on the force. "I need your help with something," I told him. "But I need you to trust me and not ask questions yet." Mike knew something was wrong. "Whatever you need, sis." I sent him everything. Mike called me back within an hour. That's when we hatched our plan. Last night's phone call was the final piece. Tomorrow's the day. The trail has that cliff section at mile marker 7. One little push during the photo op. Make it look like she slipped taking a selfie. His voice was so casual, like he was discussing the weather. This morning, he made breakfast and smiled. "Ready for our romantic getaway tomorrow, babe?" I smiled back. "Actually, I invited your brother Mike to join us. You know how he loves hiking." His face went white. "Mike's a detective. Why would you do that? I thought you'd want family there. You know, in case something happens to me." He's been pacing all morning, making frantic phone calls. "Mike just texted me. Got your message. Backup will be stationed at the trail. We'll get him. Tomorrow's hike is going to be very interesting."
told my parents I won't change my name because of their regret. I legally changed my name to Atlas when I turned 18. My birth certificate had Michael William Reynolds Jr. on it, named after my father who walked out when I was 2. For 16 years, I hated being called Junior or Little Mike. Every time someone said my name, it felt like dragging around the shadow of a man who decided we weren't worth keeping. School always started the same. Michael Reynolds, the teacher would call. I go by MJ, I'd answer, trying to create distance. Mom worked 2 jobs after he left. She'd help with homework despite being exhausted and never complained. Not even when grandparents would say, he looks more like his father every day, as if that was a compliment. When I was 15, Mom started dating David. He was nothing like my father, quiet, reliable, with a dry sense of humor. An English professor who wore sweater vests and collected maps. His first visit, he brought me a journal instead of forcing some guy bonding activity. David never tried to replace my dad. He just showed up. He came to baseball games with his grading work, occasionally looking up to cheer. He helped with college applications and never made me feel like a burden. Once I heard him tell Mom, he's not my son, but I couldn't be prouder if he was. Before senior year, I researched name changes. Nothing felt right until I remembered a book David gave me about Greek mythology. Atlas, the titan who held up the heavens. That resonated. When I told them my plan, Mom was supportive but confused. Why Atlas? She asked. Because Atlas carried the world on his shoulders. That's how I felt, carrying Dad's name when he couldn't carry his responsibilities. At least Atlas never put down his burden and walked away. David nodded. Names have power. They tell a story. Exactly. I want to tell my own. After my birthday, I filed the paperwork. 6 weeks later, I became Atlas Reynolds. My first college letter addressed to my new name is still pinned to my board. Everything was fine until last week when my biological father called. Mom handed me the phone with a strange look. Junior? How's my little Michael Jr.? My stomach dropped. That person doesn't exist anymore. What? My name is Atlas now. He laughed like it was a joke. That's not your name. You're Michael William Reynolds Jr. Named you myself. Right before you left, I added. I legally changed it. He said he was changed. Sorry. Wanted to reconnect. He'd moved back to town with his new family but wanted to make things right with his first son. He kept repeating my old name like he could force it back onto me. Yesterday I found his car in our driveway. Mom and David sat stiffly in the living room with my biological father on our couch like he belonged there. They ambushed me with dinner. Mom kept giving apologetic glances. David was quiet. My father dominated with stories about his new life, kids, and business. At dessert, he addressed the elephant in the room. So you've changed your name to Atlas? Like the map book? Like the Titan, I corrected. Well, he chuckled. Time to reconsider. You're starting college soon. Reynolds men have carried the Michael name for generations. 3, Mom said quietly. 3 generations. He waved her off. You're erasing your heritage, acting impulsively. I understand you were angry. Were? I repeated. But changing your name is extreme and hurtful. David cleared his throat. Atlas has given this a lot of thought. My father's eyes flashed. With all due respect, this isn't about you. I stood up and looked him straight in the eyes. Those eyes people said I inherited. You erased yourself from my life when I was 2. I won't change back to a name that reminds me of your regret. I'm Atlas now, carrying my own world, not yours. He argued I was being dramatic, that family names matter, that I'd regret this. I shook my head. The only thing I regret is taking 18 years to realize I could put down a burden I never asked to carry. Later, David joined me outside with hot chocolate. For what it's worth, he said, Atlas suits you. And somehow, I felt lighter than ever before.